Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for patiently waiting and welcome to the Q1 FY22 earnings conference call of Bodal Chemicals Limited. The call will start in the next few minutes. We would request all participants to stay connected. Ladies and gentlemen, we are connected to the earnings conference call of Bodal Chemicals Limited. Please stay connected. The call will start shortly. Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, good day and welcome to Q1 FY22 earnings conference call of Bodal Chemicals Limited. This conference call may contain forward-looking statements about the company which are based on the beliefs, opinions and expectations of the company as on date of this call. These statements are not the guarantees of future performance and involve risks and uncertainties that are difficult to predict. As a reminder, all participant lines will be in the listen-only mode, and there will be an opportunity for you to ask questions after the presentation concludes. Should you need assistance during this conference, please signal an operator by pressing star 10 on your touchtone phone. Please note that this conference is being recorded. I hand the conference over to Mr. Ankit Patel, Executive Director of Bodal Chemicals Limited. Thank you, and over to you, sir.
Thank you very much. Good afternoon, everybody. On behalf of Bodal Chemicals Limited, I extend a very warm welcome to everyone for joining us on our call today. On this call, we have our CFO, Mr. Mayur Upadhyay, and SGA, our investor relations advisors. I hope everyone has got an opportunity to go through the financial results and investor presentation, which has been uploaded on the stock exchanges as well as our company's website. We will give you a quick overview on recent developments of our company, and then Mr. Upadhyay will walk you through the financial performances for the quarter. We are a 3-decade-old organization and have been recognized as integrated dyestuff chemical manufacturer in global market. We are one of the largest manufacturers and exporters of chemical products in dyestuff, dye intermediates and basic chemicals and its variants. Over the last few years, we are moving up the value chain and working towards diversifying the business from our core dyestuff, dye intermediate business to other specialty chemical products like benzene derivatives and chloralkali products. We are moving forward with a very focused mindset and adding additional capacity across multiple products. The performance for the quarter, overall performance for the quarter has been marginally impacted as we were working with the limited workforce in the month of May due to sudden spike in COVID cases. For Q1 FY22, total income on consolidated basis stood at 428 crores, whereas on the standalone basis, total income stood at 394 crores. We will touch base each business verticals and the recent developments. Dyestuff. We are producing around 175 variants of dyestuff, which are principally used as raw materials in textiles, leather, paper and other dyestuff consuming industries. Textile industry constitutes around 80% of the total dyestuff demand. Dyestuff business has been moderate in the last financial year as demand has been soft due to pandemic, although we are seeing a sign of demand recovery over the last couple of months. For Q1 FY22, dyestuff segment contributes around 31% of our total revenue. In terms of production, we are among the top 3 manufacturers in India and are in good position to recover as demand revives. We are happy to announce that our liquid dyestuff has also contributed well during the quarter. Dye intermediates. We produce around 25 dye intermediate products and are the leading player in domestic market. More than 40% of dye intermediate capacity is captively consumed for various dyestuffs, which gives us a cost competitive advantage. In Q1 FY22, the average price of vinyl sulfone was around 259 rupees per kg and HF was around 404 rupees per kg respectively. For the quarter, dye intermediate segment contributed around 36% of our total revenue. Basic chemicals. We manufacture many basic chemicals like sulfuric acid, chlorosulfonic acid, oleums, beta-naphthol, acetonolide, etc. These chemicals are used as key raw materials for production of dye intermediates, which is highly beneficial in terms of improving profitability of the company. 48% of our basic chemical capacity are captively consumed for dye intermediates production. Thionyl chloride has witnessed good production performance during the quarter and expect the momentum to continue in FY22. Our overall basic chemical segment contributes around 13% of total revenue. Chlor-alkali business. During the quarter, we have successfully acquired our Rajpura Punjab unit from Mawana Sugars. This unit produces chlor-alkali products including caustic soda, stable bleaching powder, hydrochloric acid, etc., which has contributed well with a revenue of 49 crores for Q1 FY22. The key product, caustic soda, has a capacity of 82,500 tons per annum, which with 70% of would be operational for the FY22. This unit is currently going under technology upgradation to increase the capacity to 99,000 tons per annum and significant reduction in the power cost. This unit already has very strong client base and has been supplying to leading companies like HUL, Nestle, IOC, HPCL, Vardhman, Trident, etc. We expect this unit to generate additional revenues of around 300 crores at optimum levels with EBITDA margins in the range of 20 to 22%. Benzene derivatives and sulfuric acid at Saykha. Our Saykha Greenfield project is in progress and we are planning to bring it on stream by Q3 FY23. Under benzene downstream products, we will be manufacturing MCB, PNCB, ONCB, MNCB, DNCB, PNA, 2,4-DNCB and MPDSA, which are used in chemicals, spas and agrochemicals. The capacity of sulfuric acid and derivatives will be 340,000 tons per annum, which will include sulfuric acid, oleum 23, oleum 65, liquid SO3, chlorosulfonic acid and SO2. We will set up 4-step integrated product chain, which will lead to the cost efficiency, better productivity and higher margins for the company. We expect this project to generate additional revenues of around 550 crores at optimum utilized levels and EBITDA margins of 15 to 18%. In other developments at Bodal, production of PCCA has been stabilized and has contributed around 18 crores, which is 4% of total revenue. We expect this momentum to continue. We have multiple trading and marketing subsidiaries to penetrate new geographies and clients. Comparatively, all key subsidiaries have performed well. Our Turkey subsidiary, Senar Boya sales has improved meaningfully. However, the foreign exchange loss has impacted the profitability due to the depreciation of lira against US dollar. On business front, we expect monthly dispatches to improve further going ahead at Senar Boya Turkey. Bodal China has performed well and has turned profitable. We expect all our subsidiaries to perform well and turn profitable in coming quarters. In a medium to long-term view, these subsidiaries will penetrate the respective regions and bring meaningful business to our company. We have implanted the roots of new chemistry, new clients, new geography, diversification, investing in integration to create long-term sustainable growth. New chemistries will add annual revenues of around 800 crores with better margin as compared to our existing business. Additionally, these businesses are more stable and will bring sustainable growth to our company. Thank you, and now I hand over the call to Mr. Mayur Padia to walk you through the financial performance.
Good afternoon, everyone. Our business has marginally impacted as we were working with limited workforce in the month of May due to sudden spike in COVID cases. Although we were able to register a healthy business for the quarter, our standalone performance for Q1 FY22 are as follows. Total revenue for Q1 FY22 stood at 3,940 million. Performance on year-on-year is not comparable due to nationwide lockdown in Q1 FY21. EBITDA stood at 539 million in Q1 FY22. Net profit for the quarter stood at rupees 301 million. Our consolidated performance for the quarter is as below. Total revenue stood at rupees 4,282 million. Out of total revenue, 35.6% were contributed by export, whereas balance 64.4% were contributed by domestic sale. EBITDA stood at rupees 553 million in Q1 FY22. Net profit for the quarter stood at 288 million. Turkish lira has been volatile, especially in the month if April.
Ladies and gentlemen, we lost the line of the management. We would request you to please continue to hold while we join them back. Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for patiently waiting. We have the management back in the conference. Over to you, sir.
Yeah. So I was discussing consolidated performance for the quarter, and I was mentioning EBITDA stood at 553 million in Q1 FY22. Net profit for the quarter was 288 million. Turkish lira has been volatile, especially during the month of April, and it has impacted Fener result. And there was a mark-to-market exchange loss of about 20 million. This has impacted our consolidated financial. On the subsidiary front, SPS posted revenue of 310 million. Our Bodal Chemical Trading Private Limited subsidiary has reported a revenue of 21 million. Fener performance was notable during the quarter, which has reported total income of 231 million. Total income from Chinese subsidiary was rupees 154 million. Segment-wise revenue on consolidated basis, Bastaf revenue stood at rupees 1,311 million. Dye intermediates revenue stood at rupees 1,522 million. Basic chemicals revenue stood at rupees 533 million. Pure alkali division's revenue stood at rupees 497 million. TCCA revenue stood at 181 million. Total production volume on standalone basis for Q1, Bastaf reported 3,836 metric ton. Intermediate reported 6,070 metric ton. Basic chemical stood at 57,412 metric ton. Chlor-alkali stood at 18,928 metric ton. And TCCA stood at 710 metric ton for the quarter. With this, I conclude the presentation and open the floor for further discussion, particularly question and answer.
Thank you very much. We will now begin the question and answer session. Anyone who wishes to ask a question may press star and 1 on the touchtone telephone. If you wish to remove yourself from the question queue, you may press star and 2. Participants are requested to use handsets while asking a question. Anyone who would like to ask a question, please press star and 1 at this time. Ladies and gentlemen, we will wait for a moment while the question queue assembles. The first question is from the line of Bhavesh Chauhan from IDBI Capital. Please go ahead.
Sir, I have two questions. First is on margins. What kind of margins do we see that are sustainable in our current business? EBITDA margin, I'm talking about.
Yeah. In our current business, we consider about 13 to 15% margin is something very much sustainable, considering all the initiative company has taken for its growth and its integration.
Okay. And sir, with regards to our expansion plans, I believe, sir, we are moving towards becoming more of a specialty player. So I would like to know that in 3 years' time, how much portion would be specialty and how much would remain commodity? I mean, if some ballpark in terms of sales, 80-20, 50-50, whatever.
So the current growth plans should be executed in next 6 to 7 quarters. And post that, we are targeting around 800 to 900 crores of turnover from both the main growing areas. And post, so in about 2 to 3 years' time, we are targeting around 25 to 35% of specialty business in the totality.
Okay. And what kind of margins that would have, that specialty part, 25 to 30%?
We are targeting around 18 to 20% in the specialty business. And overall, so chloralkali, we should achieve around 20-25%. And the new specialty should be around 20, and the existing is around 13 to 15%. So overall, we are targeting around 17-18% EBITDA.
Okay. And sir, those products will be newer for us. Are we hiring new people for that? And what about on the client side? Are we looking for new clients, or will it take time for us to find clients for that? So same thing.
We are definitely hiring the best available talent, in India for our benzene project, and also sulfuric acid is something that is an existing business for us. So we already have some of the best talent of the country. But the benzene part is something new. So we are definitely hiring whatever is available in the market. But we already have good consultants and good people on board for the same. Also for chloralkali, I have ex-GACL people, who are guiding us, and other team members who have a vast experience in the chloralkali space. Also, for overall strategy of the company, we definitely are going into a stronger, project team, because the growth will continue. And with the also for the commercial part, we are planning to start the commercial activities of our upcoming new products within a couple of quarters. So when the commercialization of the project happens, we will have ready customers and ready experience of purchase and sales. Also, our basic chemicals, we have been an active basic chemicals player since more than 10 years now, and we already cater to agrochemicals and pharma and other chemical sectors in 10 years. So we do have, I would say, at least 60-70% customers will come from our existing list, but the remaining 20-30-40% customers will develop over a period of time.
Okay, sir. That's helpful, sir. Thank you and all the best.
Any other questions, sir?
No. I said thank you and.
Thank you. Anyone who would like to ask a question, you may press star and 1. The next question is from the line of Aditya Khetan from Stewart and Markovich. Please go ahead. Aditya Khetan from Steward and Marketers, your line is in the talk mode. Please go ahead with your question.
Hello, am I audible?
Yes, you're audible now.
Okay. Yeah, thank you for the opportunity, sir. Just a couple of questions from my side. Sir, first, if you can provide the volume number breakup of exports and domestic for this quarter and for financial year FY21.
As far as sales data, we are not disclosing it. Whatever data we disclose is a production number. So, as we have discussed earlier, out of total revenue, 36% is from export and balance is from local. This much we can share with you. Volume data for domestic as well as local, we are not sharing.
Okay. So on the export side, so our major revenues are towards the Asia and Europe. That is almost 80% of the export sale. So are you looking to further increase presence towards the other emerging and the advanced economies globally, or what is the strategy we are working for exports?
So we already have presence in South America and North America. Our TCCA is mainly being exported to North America, and we are.
Ladies and gentlemen, we lost the line for the management. Request you to please continue to hold while we join them back to the conference. Ladies and gentlemen, please continue to hold while we join the management back to the conference. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for patiently waiting. We have the management back in the conference. Over to you, sir.
Yeah, we apologize about this disturbance. I don't know what is happening. We are now on a different line, so hopefully this will not have a disturbance again. To answer Aditya Khetan's question about export, the textile and other applications mainly are present there in Europe and Asian countries only. But we do have a market in South America which we cater to as far as our dye stuff is concerned since many years. Also in North America, our majority of supplies of TCC are done to North America because we have the EPL license to supply in the US. So we are definitely opening more territory. We also supply some of our liquid dyes to African continent and also to Australia. So overall, we are present almost everywhere globally. And the idea to open our marketing subsidiaries in China, Indonesia, Bangladesh, etc., is that only to have direct business in such areas. And our Turkey Senerboya has also been doing very well. We've had increased volumes over last few quarters. So I think things are looking good as far as our marketing subsidiaries go and our exports goes.
Okay, sir, in FY21, so roughly around 33% of sales was from exports, and this is down from 44% in FY19. So how you see this in the next 3 to 5 years to move again, so going back in the range of 40 to 45%, or the focus would be more on the domestic only?
Our export will go down because our chlor-alkali business, which we have recently acquired, that is completely a domestic business in North India. So that will not contribute. Plus, our Saykha greenfield projects, where sulfuric acid and derivatives is again a domestic business. In benzene specialty derivatives, there is some export potential. But the new 8 to 900 crores of revenue, I don't think we will be doing more than 15-20% of exports from that. So once that is added in 2 years of time, our overall export will probably come down to 20 to 25%. But at the same time, we will also be growing brownfield projects, most likely in the dye-sub sector. So we'll add some export from there. But overall, if I talk about next 3 to 5 years, our exports will go down.
But if you consider in absolute number, it will increase, because our dye-stuff production is at present about 55% level. So once we reach to about 75% level, then in absolute number it will increase. But in proportion to total number, yes, percentage-wise there will be decline.
Okay, sir, got it. Sir, next question is on the other expenses. Other expenses in this quarter has gone up materially. On sequential basis, it is up by almost 50%. How much is the one-off, and what is the sustainable number which we can work with?
No, in current quarter, there is no any exceptional number is there. So this much we can consider is something sustainable.
But sir, in this quarter, our other expenses as a percentage of sales is almost 29 to 30% as compared to our normal range of 22 to 24%. So definitely there is a jump in the other expenses. So I just want to understand, is this the sustainable number which we could work going ahead, or what is the factor that has led to such sharp jump in this quarter?
We can do one thing. I do not have an exact number, so you can connect me offline. We can discuss it in detail later on.
Sure, sir. Sir, just one more question. Sir, in this quarter, our chlor-alkali capacity that has operated at 92% utilization levels, is this number correct, sir? 92% utilization for chlor-alkali business?
No, chlor-alkali, our present capacity is 82,500 metric ton. And there are a couple of other products for which we do have a capacity, like stable bleaching powder, as well as sodium hypo and HCl. But if we consider it as a chlor-alkali business, then our capacity utilization was around 70%. And it will remain around this level till we conclude this modernization of the project. So coming about 6 quarter or 5 quarter, it will remain around 70% only.
Okay, so the capacity of chlor-alkali is 82,500, correct, sir?
Yes, 82,500 metric ton per annum.
Okay, so just a number which I would like to share is 82,500 metric ton. If we divide it by the 4 for this quarter, and the volume numbers you have given, it is 18,928 tons per tons. So if we divide that, we get a number of 92% rate, sir. Like 70% number, how have you arrived at? If you can share that.
No, so that capacity is usually considered from the caustic production, and the number that we have given includes some of the other products also being produced in that complex. So that 82,500 is our caustic soda production capacity. And there is another product called stable bleaching powder, which you produce there. That is not considered in the capacity of 82,500, but it is considered there in the production volumes.
Okay. So what would be the auxiliary capacity, sir?
Production we had is approximately around 14 to 15,000 tons.
14 to 15,000 tons. Okay.
This quarter,
and the revenue contribution from chlor-alkali in this quarter was 49 crores. So how much would be the contribution to EBITDA impact?
So EBITDA, we were negligible EBITDA positive for this quarter.
Okay.
So what else did you ask?
Okay. And this is because of the older technology, so that we would be upgrading post that, like, so the complete
Yes, this is absolutely because of the older technology. There are two issues. One is that we are not able to run the plant at 90% because it requires a lot of investment into the older technology. So we have decided to run it at around 70% until we upgrade the latest technology. And when the latest technology comes in, we are looking at least 30-40 crore overall positivity added in the EBITDA numbers. This is a conservative number. It could be much higher than that also.
Got it, sir. Got it. Thank you, sir. That's all from me.
Thank you. Anyone who would like to ask a question, you may press star and 1. The next question is from the line of Arush Oberoi from Victor Delta Securities. Please go ahead.
Thank you for the opportunity, sir. I have a couple of questions. So, wanted to know what is the current scenario of dye stuff prices in India?
So the current scenario overall is quite stable. Since the second wave, slowed down or concluded, things have been getting back on track. So I would say overall situation in the dye stuff demand and the production levels are quite normal at the moment.
Okay, and the second part, how is the current market of vinyl sulfone and H-acid, and what kind of current prices trend there currently? Do you see any demand supply gap from this?
So H-acid and vinyl sulfone are the main key raw materials to produce the dye stuff. And as I said, the dye stuff demand is quite normal. So H-acid and vinyl sulfone are directly linked with the dye stuff demand in the market. So I would say that the demand for the H and VS is also quite normal. I do not see much of a gap currently between the demand and supply of H-acid and vinyl sulfone. And the current price of H-acid is around 370 to 375 rupees per kg. And vinyl sulfone is 225 to 230 rupees per kg.
Okay. And how is the textile market shaping up for us? And are we receiving any inquiries pre-COVID level for our dye stuff and dye intermediate products?
In dye stuff particularly, we are, I would say, at around 75-80% back to the pre-COVID levels. We had reached about 65% of utilization in the dye stuff business earlier. But now in this recent quarter, we were at around 55%. So there is definitely room, and dye stuff, textile industry overall is showing good signs only. I think the good volumes are definitely back because of overall disturbance across the globe has minimized. So I think in coming time, I think COVID also at the moment doesn't look like a big threat anymore, at least production-wise or economy-wise. So I think in coming quarters, things should be back to pretty much normal.
Okay, sir, that was helpful, and that is from my side.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Sanjana Rathi from SK Securities. Please go ahead.
Hi, thank you so much for the opportunity, sir. So I had a couple of questions. So could you just throw some light on the benzene derivatives with respect to the client profile?
Can you repeat the question, please?
Yeah. So could you just throw some light on the benzene derivative segment on the basis of client profile?
Yeah, so for client profile, okay. So what we are doing in benzene derivatives is we are going in with a 4-step integration from phase 1 only. We are not going to produce 1 or 2 key products. We are going to produce 6 products, and which will be 4-step integration. So also we are setting up a sulfuric acid complex in that same complex, where the waste heat which is going to generate power and steam will be completely utilized by all the benzene products. So this integration is very important, which will have a value of more than 20-30 crore rupees per annum. Plus, there's a hazardous byproduct which is generated in benzene, one of the benzene plants, which will be completely used by one of the sulfuric acid derivatives. Also, there is some integration between sulfuric acid products and benzene products that we are doing. So there are multiple synergies and integration between both the projects and within the benzene derivatives also. So in benzene, as I said, we are doing 4-step. We are going to produce MCB, from which we are going to produce PNCB and ONCB. PNCB has a main application into dye stuff, dye intermediates, mainly into pharmaceutical. Main area is paracetamol. And ONCB has a good application again into dye stuff and agrochemicals. So those are the two products which will be using captively, because we use PNCB captively, and we are going to produce something. We are going to produce OA, which is produced from ONCB, which again we use captively in our dye stuff, dye intermediate business. From PNCB, we are going to produce PNA and 2,4-DNCB. So currently we consume a lot of PNA. So again, that will be linked to our dye intermediate business. From PNCB, we are going to produce 2,4-DNCB, which is again one of the key raw materials which Atul Limited uses and a couple of other large companies use. So that will go into a specialized dye stuff segment called sulfur black. Also, we are going to produce MPDSA from 2,4-DNCB. So MPDSA is one of the key raw materials which you don't produce at the moment. It is a dye intermediate. So we are basically integrating sulfuric acid complex and benzene and derivatives within the complex. Also, we are integrating all the products produced in the benzene derivatives to our dye stuff and dye intermediate business model. So there are a lot of synergies that are going to happen internally in Saykha and also with our existing dye stuff business.
Okay, that was quite an extensive, sir. So could you just highlight if we are in touch with a few clients for all these products and segmentations? And so how big is the market size in India, and how much of it is done through imports per se?
So 2,4-DNCB, there are two large players, and both are our existing buyers, Atul Limited, and there is another company. For PNCR, we are going to use it captively, plus around 50-60% we are going to sell in the market, which is a net import product. So for PNCB, the paracetamol players are, some of them are already our buyers, and we already know a majority of the buyers, the large buyers. So selling that is not going to be an issue. ONCB does go into some of the agrochemicals which are already our clients from our basic chemical segment. MCB, we are not going to sell anything in the market. MCB, we are going to captively use the entire production. MPDSA again is a dye intermediate. So us being the largest dye intermediate player, it's all the same client base of dye stuff players across India for us. So it is going to be part of our same sales strategy of dye intermediates. And PNA again we'll be using captively, and PNA again goes into dye stuff manufacturing, dye intermediate manufacturing. So we'll have the same buyer, which have been catering since many years. And sulfuric acid, we already have a 500 tons per day plant in Baroda since more than 10 years. So it'll just be an extension of the same similar buyers and similar products.
All right. So, one more question I had. So, when it comes to TCCA segment and thionyl chloride business, so how are these verticals performing? Like, are these verticals profitable, or could you just throw some colors on its end application and expected revenue on the annual basis?
So TCCA has a main application into cleaning pools, swimming pools, and India does have a sizable market, but we sell it to the premium market, which is the US, and we've had a special permission certificate to sell the TCCA in the US. So which is again a premium market. In Indian market is normally catered by a lower quality product which is usually imported from China and etc. countries. So TCCA has turned profitable for us since the previous quarter, and we are looking at increasing debottlenecking some of the things in the plant and maybe increase the capacity by 20-30% in coming 1 or 2 quarters. And for TC, thionyl chloride, that has main application into dye intermediates and agrochemicals. So it is one of the key raw materials for vinyl sulfone and also for the agrochemicals. So all the large players of agrochemicals are our buyers, and so TC also has been running profitable since almost since the inception.
Okay. So actually, we have already discussed something on the chlor-alkali businesses capacity utilization. So do you mind just like explaining a bit about the products apart from caustic soda and maybe the end users for and applications for the following products?
So there are other than caustic soda, there is chlorine that is being produced at our chlor-alkali plant in Punjab. We have 5 adjoining pipeline buyers, which is very important for chlor-alkali plant. So about 50% of our chlorine is sold via pipelines to those buyers, and the other remaining 50% is sold via tonners, cylinders to the North Indian territory. Which again has a application into food processing and textiles and paper mills, etc. And there are many sizable large players in North India. So we don't have to sell even into Rajasthan. We are comfortably selling all our volumes from UP to Haryana to Himachal and Punjab and Jammu and Kashmir. So that those areas have a good market, and the market is also growing. There is another product called stable bleaching powder. So we are currently in the process of expanding that plant also. Since it is a brownfield expansion, it is going to cost us very less. And we are trying to become India's 3rd largest player in that segment, where Grasim Industries is the largest player. And we are planning to increase our capacity by around 60-70%. So that should also be operational in about 6 months' time. And other than this, hydrogen is being produced there, and again we have a buyer which is adjoining the complex and which buys via pipeline. So that again is a strong point for that complex. And other than that, there are a couple of small products like sodium hypo and sulfuric acid. So those are very small in terms of volume and price.
All right. So that was quite extensive. That's all from my side. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone who would like to ask a question, you may press star and 1. The next question is from the line of Saket Kapoor from Kapoor and Company. Please go ahead.
Namaskar, sir, and thank you for the opportunity. Sir, first point is regarding the employee cost, sir. Anything one-off, sir, for this quarter, or why have we seen this? How will you explain this increase, sir, for this quarter?
The increase in this quarter is mainly because of induction of chlor-alkali business in this. So Punjab complex was not there earlier, and in this quarter only this has got inducted in the company's business. So increase is mainly because of this addition of this new unit.
So now we can look for this as an annualized figure, this quarter number for employee cost.
Correct. This figure as well as some increment would be there. So and some project employee induction will be there. So there can be some improvement from this figure, some increase in this figure.
Right. Sir, regarding the modernization of the caustic unit, sir, which technology is there currently, and which one are we migrating to, and what is that amount that will be spent and the commercialization period?
So the existing technology is owned by INEOS, which is a British company, the largest one of the largest chemical companies in the world. But being it an old technology, it consumes a lot of power. So we have no choice but to upgrade, so we can be competitive, and it can bring savings of more than 30-40 crores annually. There are 2 technologies which are active in India. One is German, which is owned by ThyssenKrupp, which is a Fortune 500 company, and the second is AKCC, Asahi Kasei Corporation, that is based in Japan, which is again, a multi-billion-dollar organization. So we have opted for AKCC, which is Japanese, which is installed at companies like DCM, Shriram, and Make Money, and some of the Grasim and some of the other plants. So we have opted with Japanese. We have confirmed them. We've already paid them, and it's in the process. We are targeting to complete the modernization by next September or October. And at the same time, so the cost of just the technology part is around 45 to 50 crores. But at the same time, we are increasing the capacity of the plant also, and we are also upgrading a lot of the things in the plant which can help us, utilize the capacity more. So overall, we are spending around 120 crores, which will the spending and the execution should be done by next October, and which will bring in around revenues of around 300 crores, and we are targeting around 20-22% EBITDA.
And the capacity will be enhanced to what level, sir? What is the current capacity, and what are we envisaging?
Current capacity was 82,500 tons per annum. We are increasing it up to 99,000 tons per annum. And we are also increasing the capacity in our other plants, so stable bleaching powder. There also we are increasing the capacity.
Okay, sir. And this is the membrane cell technology. That is relevant now.
Yes. So I think all the technologies across the world now is in membrane cell, because the other were not environment friendly, and they have all been out of the market.
Since that power is a very dominant cost in the caustic soda industry, so what steps are we taking to lower the cost of production in the form of power and fuel cost? Whether any investment in the renewable segment we are planning?
So we have explored the possibilities of solar power, because we do have a luxury of a lot of land in the Punjab complex. We are studying that market, what the cost is, and how the state government and the electricity boards are offering. But since we are committed to modernization and expansion project for now, we are not planning to do any further capex for Punjab. In states like Gujarat and Maharashtra, the power cost from the electricity board is more than 7 rupees per unit. So that's why the plants here usually go for captive power plants. But in North, captive power plant concept is not very popular or not the best economically viable, because the Punjab state is already offering us around 6.3 rupees per unit. So they are already offering us a subsidized rate. And also to set up a thermal power plant, the majority of the good quality coal has to be supplied from Gujarat ports, which is imported coal. So it will definitely have a higher power production cost than Gujarat plants. So it's not the most economically viable, but we are still exploring some of the other options. There are some bio-waste based power plants in Punjab which are very common there. So we are exploring those options, but we are not planning to do anything about power plant or anything until we are done with the upgradation.
Right.
So it could come in the second phase next year.
Okay. And lastly, sir, in the caustic soda price trend, have we seen substantial improvement over what the March quarter was, and we exited the June quarter at higher ECU?
So caustic soda price has definitely increased a lot. March quarter price was probably around 20 to 23,000 rupees per ton. In June quarter, it was definitely higher by 3-4 rupees. Currently, the prices have even further gone up by 3-4 more rupees, so around 30 rupees per kg is there. But again, so chlorine and caustic have this combination, and chlorine prices, which were at a time were around 8 rupees, 7 rupees per kg, has come down to now 2-3 rupees per kg. So, but still the ECU realization compared to March quarter is definitely better. Compared to June quarter, the existing ECU is also slightly better. There are a couple of plants in the US. One plant has shut down, Olein Corporation, which is the largest chlor-alkali player in North America. They have a plan to stop some of their old plants. So one plant has already stopped. I think they are planning to stop a couple of more plants in coming time. So I think that has affected the overall caustic international demand. And so that is actually is good for the Indian, especially Gujarat players at the moment. and Gujarat players are exporting caustic already since last about a month in large quantities.
Okay, sir. And what is the capacity that has come under shutdown, sir, and the total market which it caters, the USA unit, sir?
I'm not sure about the exact number, but I think it was a very old plant, so it could be in the range of around 50 to 80,000 tons per annum. So it was a small plant, but they are planning a couple of more shutdowns. So like 3 years back, when there were 15, 16 plants shut down in Europe, and in Houston there were some issues. So I think there also some plants were shut down for a few months. So because of that, the caustic prices went from 25, 27 levels to 50 rupee levels. So it does this American and European plants definitely have an effect if they shut down temporarily or a long term.
Yes, sir. And my last question is, sir, what is the import number, sir, for caustic soda for the first quarter of this fiscal year for the country? Any understanding, sir, if it on a comparative basis, but March versus June, what was the import?
No, it is usually, so Gujarat, there are hardly any imports, only some, usually there's some Middle East material that comes in, but it is not a regular trend. Because Gujarat itself having all these production capacities now, and Gujarat definitely has a lot of pressure because few new expansions have come up, and there are a couple of still large plants due to start this year. So I think scenario in Gujarat is going to be a little pressurized, and there are some imports that take place in Maharashtra regularly because there are hardly any plants in Maharashtra. But Gujarat, there are no regular imports. So us being a buyer in Gujarat, we buy large quantities of caustic, but we hardly buy. So there is hardly any material available here in Gujarat.
But integrally, how does this caustic soda fits in our supply? And I was talking about country as a whole. Since I think so for the requirement of the country, there is still substantial import of caustic soda that happens annually. I was looking for the entire country number if you could give. And how does this caustic soda part fits in our story, sir? Or is it a complete diversification to our set of chemicals?
So it does have a slight integration. Our H-acid plant in the subsidiaries SPS processors that uses caustic soda. Also, we are about to start our vinyl sulfone plant there in 1 or 2 months' time. So that also again uses a lot of caustic soda. So it is around 300 kilometers from our Punjab plant to that intermediate plant in UP. So that is the one integration that's going to take place. It definitely was a diversification plan for us because the unit was available at a very attractive price. It needed a lot of effort to turn around and a large investment also. So we were prepared for everything. We are already seeing the turnaround effort other than the investment to upgrade the technology. So we are very confident that other than the technology, we will be able to turn around, the overall low production of the plant and some of the old, machineries and technology. And so we should be able to, we are also making a lot of changes in the commercial front in purchase and sales also. So it was a plus, it comes in with 60-70 acres of spare land. We can definitely integrate this unit further. It's already integrated into 2-3 products. We have an option to increase the capacity, which is always good idea for chlor-alkali to bring down the overhead cost. Or we can definitely, there are a lot of products which are integrated within the chlor-alkali space are supplied from Gujarat to North India on a regular basis. So we can also consider to set up those projects in North India. So we do have a lot of options, but currently, as I said, we are committed to this upgradation and expansion. So once we are done, and whenever it is the best time financially for us, we do have the land and all the required permissions from the environment front also are available there. So in a long term, what I can say is, we can have one growth area which can come from Punjab, which has a lot of spare land and a good chemical manufacturing environment over there, and also a steady increase in the demand. So it could be, maybe 600 to 800 crores of turnover, block for us that can come from Punjab. And again, we are already working on Saika, which is going to bring in 500 crores of revenue. Again, we are not utilizing the total land there. So we are planning to further integrate and bring in more products in Sayakha also. So we also have a 10-year plan there. So again, that can become again 1,000 crore plus block for us. And our existing business also has some brownfield possibilities. So overall, we are putting together 3 different sites. One is Greenfield, Sayakha, one is our existing dye stuff business, and third will be Punjab.
Thank you. I would request Mr. Kapoor to rejoin the queue for follow-up questions. The next question is from the line of Chintan Shah, an individual investor. Please go ahead. Chintan Shah, your line has been unmuted. You may go ahead with your question. We would request you to kindly unmute yourself from your mobile and go ahead with the question. Due to no response, we'll move to the next question, which is from the line of Aditya Khetan from Stewart and Marketage. Please go ahead.
Thank you, sir, for the follow-up. Sir, you had said to an earlier participant regarding the stable bleaching powder capacity augmentation by 60-70%. So is that plan included in the current presentation what we have shared of 270 crore caustic soda? So is that plan there in the presentation of augmentation of this of stable bleaching powder?
Yes, it is definitely included. It is not a large investment because all the infrastructure is available there. We don't have to construct anything new. We just have to order some of the machineries, and it is a batch type process. So we've already placed orders, and since it is a brownfield, not a big investment, so we should be able to do it in 6 months' time. So current capacity is around 80 tons per day, where we are operating at around 75%. We are planning to take the capacity up to 120 tons per day, and because it is a batch type, the 80% utilization is a good number.
Got it. And sir, just one more question on this 2 expansion of benzene derivatives and this chloralkali. So when we look at the ROC calculations for both these projects, like I had done my own calculations, I found that the return on capital employed on both the projects, so post-tax ROCs are not more than 12% in each of the projects. Is this calculation correct? And secondly, and what is the management assumptions here, and where we can think like if these projects are not adding value to the capital, what is the use? And just if you can share some light on this.
So we are definitely targeting better ROCs than that, but just as a future possibilities, we are just trying to be conservative. That's the only approach that we are going ahead with right now, because there are a lot of volatilities in the market. There's still a lot of time to go. So basically, we are just being a little conservative. But overall, we feel that sulfuric acid and derivatives, with all this growth coming in from agrochemicals, pharmaceutical, and mainly chemicals in the PCPIR, where we are setting up the plant. So I definitely see a very solid growth, very solid demand for all those derivatives and sulfuric acid. So that's one. And in benzene space, we are definitely replacing. Half of our products are definitely imported in big volumes. So we are planning to replace, this indigenous production with the exports. And also, all the benzene products are linked with our dye intermediate business, which will definitely add some more margins for us. So not to include it all, since we are doing a lot of things at the same time. Right now the focus is all on the execution, on time, and to produce the quality product. I think marketing wise we have no issues at all, as about 70-80% market we already are related to. So numbers should definitely be better. It's just that we are being conservative.
Got it. So just one last question. Sir, in the benzene derivative chain, majorly we are making MPDSA as a final product, because others, MCB and PNCB, so they are mostly 100% captive only. So in this total capacity of 79,000 tons, how much would be the MPDSA finished product capacity figure would be, if any ballpark figure you can give, sir, for this MPDSA final product capacity?
So MPDS is not the final product. It is the last product being produced. But so MCB is the only product we are going to use captively 100%. In ONCB and PNCB, in ONCB we are only using around 30 to 40% captively. So it will be sold about 60-70% in market. In PNCB we are going to use about 40-50% captively. So again that will be sold in the market 50 to 60%. Same thing with PNA. We are going to use only about 20%. So about 80% will be sold in the market. And again PNCB we are going to make 2,4-DNCB. And 2,4-DNCB again we are only going to use about 20%. So the remaining will be 80% will be sold in the market. So there are all except for MCB, there is revenue coming from all the products.
Sir,
from the 2,4-DNCB will be again MPDSA will be used for our dye intermediate business. And there again we are only going to use about 20%, 20 to 30%. So MPDSA also again will be selling in the market.
In the presentation is 90% captive consumption. So only 10% we are selling, right? For 2,4-DNCB.
No, I think I don't know which number you have seen. I'll have to check again. But there is no 90% captive consumption. Only MCB is the only product where we are going to consume all of it. Everywhere else, in any of the products, I don't have more than 40-50% utilization anywhere.
Okay, sir. Got it. No worries. Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, due to time constraints, that was the last question for today. I now hand the conference over to Mr. Ankit Patel for closing comments.
Sir, thank you very much, Mr. Mayur Bhai and our advisors. And if you have any other questions which have remained unanswered, you can contact us directly to Mayur Bhai or myself, Ankit Patel. Thank you very much. Have a good evening.
Thank you. On behalf of Bodal Chemicals Limited, that concludes this conference. Thank you for joining us, and you may now disconnect your lines.